Hi, I'm Jesse, and I found this little antique armoire, and today we're going to change it up a bit. This thing's pretty solid, but it has a lot of superficial damage, like these nasty drawers. And I don't really know what this little armoire is trying to be, because it kind of has like Art Deco structure to it, but then it has like rustic looks to it. So we're just going to go ahead and make it our own thing. And this is probably the first time I've collaborated with other people on a furniture project. My wife's helped me with a lot of stuff before, but this one involved outsiders. I actually found this piece when I went to pick up a dresser. There was this other guy in San Jose who flips furniture, but he primarily works with furniture that's in really good shape. He was getting rid of a busted dresser, and he was like, "Do you want this one also?" I said, "Yeah." So it actually didn't even fit in my car. He had to drive it to my house for me. Super nice guy, but I lost his contact info. I don't really like flathead screws. They come in these antique furniture pieces and they just like reject the screwdrivers all the time. I don't know if there's a trick to it, but it just feels like these things are hard to work with. So yeah, typically the first thing I do when I'm working on a piece of furniture is take it apart and remove all this hardware. Which brings me to the next person who I kind of collabed with on this project. You see, I have this friend who really likes 3D printing. It's like a fun hobby for him. So he asked me what he should be 3D printing, like what's something that other people aren't doing. So right away, my first suggestion was animal themed coat hangers. Now, see right here, all these little pieces of hardware have these caps on them. I've never seen that before. There's a bunch of them on this thing, and I don't know if they're original to the piece. And all this hardware had like mini bolts, which was kind of weird. And eventually these things release. See? So I suggested to my friend that he do animal coat hangers. I really thought it was a good idea, but he said that it's too difficult. Like the plastic that he works with isn't strong enough, so he'd have to like add something inside it. I just thought it'd be really cool to have plastic animal heads as decor, but apparently there's people that already do that for cheap. So then I suggested that he make some deer heads with antlers for drawer pulls. I thought that'd be really cool, especially on this piece of furniture. So he made a few prototypes, but they were just like super pointy and dangerous. So then I suggested, what about monstera leaf drawer pulls? And this piece of furniture seemed like it would be perfect for monstera leaves. But on those monstera leaves, he wouldn't be able to match the screw holes that are already in these drawers, so I gotta fill them up with these chopsticks. I just throw in some wood glue and then jam them in, and I use wire cutters on these because I'm gonna cut them with a saw later on. I just don't want big sticks sticking up while I'm trying to move these around. So my friend ran through a couple different prototypes, but he ended up with two different designs, something for the drawers here and then something else for the door handles. Like, because the doors meet in the middle, they can each have their own half of monstera leaf, so when the doors are closed, it like makes a complete monstera leaf, you know what I mean? And in the doors, I'm going to keep one of the holes, so that's one less thing to fill up. And yeah, I think all this wood is covered with like an old gel stain that's peeling up, because it's kind of flaky and there's not a lot of damage, but it needs a lot of work. And now let's get started on these cool looking legs. The veneer is pretty thin, so I just got to be careful when I sand them. So this one section of veneer on the bottom of this thing was falling apart, so I'm just going to cut a little bit off, push some glue behind it to keep the rest of it from falling out. I don't love the way I dealt with this damage, but we'll see how it turns out in the end. And it's in some spots it's hard to reach with the clamps, so I had to use some scrap wood to put pressure down on those pieces. No big deal. And now the glue is dry on my chopsticks, so I'm going to use this saw here to cut them down. I got this saw on Amazon a few years ago. I had this old saw that needed to be sharpened, and I looked up how to do that, and it just looked so difficult. And then I saw this one for like $18 on Amazon. I thought, there you go. Those chopsticks were a perfect fit, and this saw just cut them down real flush. But it's these kind of little tasks that I have to be careful where I put my hand, or else I'll cut my thumb with the saw. I made contact right there, but I took no damage. And now I'm going to put this tool away so I can find it later on when I need it. And now let's go ahead and sand everything. Normally, I use the sander to clean up furniture because I choose to struggle. But for this particular piece of furniture, that finish was peeling up, so sanding was actually really easy. And I get these little corners with a piece of sandpaper by hand. And anytime I get a piece of furniture that's this shape with two doors on it, I just call it an armoire. It's like if it's tall and has doors like this, I'll call it an armoire. If it's like horizontal and has doors, I might call it a buffet or something. Because I want to use a word that is common that people will look up on like Facebook Marketplace or something like that. If I look up the technical terms and common people don't don't know those terms, then it's not really that helpful. And then I've seen people just call everything a dresser, and I think that's maybe too far. I don't know if some people call things wardrobes. We don't really use that word very often in California. Like a lion, the witch, and the armoire. I knew an old guy that was from Boston. He used to call them like a bureau. And because of the use of kitchen cabinets, I tend to just call things that are fastened to the wall with doors like that cabinets. So yeah, I'm just genuinely curious to hear what you guys think this thing is called. Well, anyway, this old item was looking pretty worn out. Had a lot of scratches and a lot of dings in it. So the sanding just kind of evens it all out. And I think I use sandpaper on like every project I work on. It's like this one episode of The Simpsons where Lisa challenges Bart to rock, paper, scissors, and then it shows like her inner monologue where she's like, Bart always chooses rock. And then it shows Bart thinking to himself, haha, nothing beats rock. And then she quickly beats him with paper and he just goes dope. So I guess that's me with the sander. And then when it's feeling inefficient, I do a quick reload with the sandpaper. So this little can of stain says American Walnut. So it's kind of interesting to me how they named the colors of stain. Like if I put walnut stain over some pine wood, then it just looks like dark brown pine. Like the grain of walnut is so different from pine and a lot of other woods. So it just feels like giving it that name is kind of overpromising what it can do. But anyway, I don't know what kind of wood this is, but once I put this stain over it, I think it makes the grain look really cool. I wonder if this is elm. Can someone in the comments tell me if this is elm? It would be kind of cool if I got it right on the first guess. So I apply the stain with a cheap paintbrush and then I just rub it in with this rag. And after a bit of effort, I think the top of this dresser starts to look pretty good. The wood on the top here kind of matches the drawer faces and the doors, but it doesn't quite match the sides. The grain on the sides just looks okay, not great. And I'm going to stain the legs, but the very bottom of them has a little bit of damage, but it's kind of hard to tell with the stain over it, and it's like the part that touches the ground, so it's not that bad. And it seems like they made these kind of rounded legs here by just using plywood and then a really nice veneer. But then for the veneer to make that curve, it would have to be really thin, and so that's why it wears out so easily. You know, the manufacturer's got to do what they got to do. I like making legs out of solid piece of wood, but that's just because I only do little one-off things with like scrap wood. And these legs are actually perfectly sturdy. And I just love it when legs are tapered and rounded. Like that's such a good look. Like they seem like a mismatch for the rest of this piece of furniture, but hopefully with my updates, it can look like a more cohesive piece, which I guess we'll just see in the end. And once I'm done working in this stand, I go on to the doors. And I really like the grain on these doors. It's hard to figure out where to hold this thing while it's covered in stain. Eventually it stops sliding around. I like that they changed the direction of the veneer like a quarter of the way up the door. It's probably just an issue with materials that they had the manufacturer. I don't know. And it gives it a unique look. So after sanding, the veneer on these drawers look pretty good. Now I just gotta slather them in this stain. So in this project, I actually had a pretty big problem come up. Somehow I lost a lot of video of this project. I don't know what happened. I looked everywhere and it's just gone. The last thing that I got video of is preparing the drawer pulls, and I drill some holes right next to these circles right here. And then you don't see me attach the drawer pulls and reassemble the doors and all that stuff. And I didn't find this problem until way after I sold this item. Let me just quickly say that right here I'm applying some oil-based polyurethane to the legs. It's just a good protectant and helps keep things clean. And I'll do the same thing for the drawers and the doors and the top. So after realizing that I was missing a critical portion of this video, I had to make a pretty big decision. I really enjoyed working on this furniture piece. I liked collaborating with my buddy on the drawer pulls, and I liked working with the guy who provided me with this armoire. This was like such a unique piece, and the customer really liked it. Like she had some decor in her house that complemented this piece. And like, I don't know her personally. She saw this piece as soon as I posted it online, and then we made arrangements for me to deliver it to her all the way to like the San Rafael area. It was like an hour and a half drive one way for me. So I had to decide, do I want to continue continue trying to make this video, or do I just trash it and not ever bring it up again? But before I make a final decision, how about I just reach out to the customer? It took a little digging, but eventually I found a way to contact her, and then I asked, hey, do you still have that piece, and would you help me with this problem I have? And she was actually pretty enthusiastic. She loves this piece and was excited to help me out, because I didn't even have any video of this completed project, so she agreed to send me some video of this thing in her house. The only problem was that it was going to be about 6 or 7 weeks before she can send me some video, because she'll be traveling for the holidays. So here we are. I made the video and I'm collaborating with people. So I think I'm only missing a few things from this video. You don't see me attach the hardware, and actually right after I attached it, my dad came over and looked at it and broke one of the handles. So my buddy was like, oh good, that's good, he tested it out for us and now I'll make a better one. So none of that's on camera. And I couldn't get the inside of the drawers clean, so I just painted over them with green paint. So I don't know if you remember seeing in the very beginning of this video, I showed the inside of those drawers and it looked pretty beat up. It took a lot of paint to cover that up. And I go over the sides of this item with some water-based polyurethane. So I think those are the only things missing from this video. So this is the top of the armoire. A lot of bubbles came up. I think that this wood had a lot of pores in it. So I just lightly sanded with 220 grit sandpaper by hand. I wiped it all down, but it still looks pretty scraped up, but then I just go over it again with another coat of polyurethane, and it looks pretty good in the end. So like after this dries all the way, it is super smooth. I do this very technique pretty regularly, and I don't understand how the sandpaper doesn't damage the stain. Maybe someday I'll do some accidental damage, but who knows. And I dripped a little bit of polyurethane on the side here, so I'm just going to clean it up with some sandpaper real quick. And now I'm going to go through a whole bunch of this blue masking tape because I have a cool idea in my head. And recently I saw a video of a guy criticizing the quality of the painting masking tape. Like his preferred brand changed how they make the tape that he uses and it didn't work out for him anymore. And it's just not that deep for me. Like I expect this tape to fail sometimes, and then I just have to be careful. Like sometimes the quality of the tape declines over time. You know, sometimes I'll buy from Home Depot or I'll get a roll from like the dollar store. And one time my wife just handed me like a plastic bag full of blue masking tape, and she said she got it from a secondhand store. So yeah, sometimes they fail and paint gets underneath the tape, and you know, that sucks, but you just fix it because I have no idea where the tape came from or how old it is. Alright, I thought the veneer on the sides looked pretty substandard, but this stain looks pretty good on there. So let's turn it around and do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to be going back and forth to each side on this thing, and I just turn it around instead of moving the camera. It made sense to me at the time. It's not a very heavy piece, guys, so you know. It had a few projects in a row that were kind of plain, so I wanted to be a little more creative in this project. And I'm kind of getting some Art Deco vibes from this piece, so I was trying to think of ways to lean into that a little bit. And I've seen some people like tape and paint some really intricate designs onto these kinds of pieces, so I don't feel skilled enough to do all that, so I'm just going to do some diagonal lines on the sides. I'm going to use a few different colors from my Oops paints that I have. Those are the discounted paints they sell at Home Depot for like 50 cents or a few bucks. And I think they either complement or power clash with that wood stain. I don't know what term to go with there, but I think they end up looking good in the end, but they do look very interesting. When my wife and I were younger, you know, just getting together, we both really liked painted furniture. We probably just saw something like that in some movies, and we both thought it was so fun and interesting. And then one day we tried that antiquing thing where you like put little bits of darkened detail in any kind of grooves. And then at some point I started liking wood stain with paint. And who knows, you know, I might look back one day and it'll be similar to looking at old yearbooks where you see different hairstyles and you kind of get cringed out. But honestly, right now, I don't know what my thing is, so I just keep trying different stuff. And this piece, however, is actually pretty fun. I really like the way these colors end up coming out at the end. Yeah, it's pretty unique with the drawer pulls and everything. It's a pretty fun piece. And I was under the impression that if I kept things very plain and general looking, then I'd have a bigger audience of customers. But for one thing, that's just not me. But also more importantly, those numbers just don't say that. I have a hard time selling plain things also. So I might as well have fun and let the piece sell itself. Now, when you buy from the Oops paint section at Home Depot, you get different quality of paint. When you buy from that discarded pile of Oops paints, they're priced based on the quantity. So that quart of beige paint was only like $3, I think, but it was like really thick paint. It wasn't really runny, and I like that. And then later on, when I actually read the label, it said that it was exterior paint, which is usually a little more expensive. But the light blue and the pink paints are indoor house paints, so they're a little thinner and runnier. So the wood like really absorbed it, and you can see these little pulls. So I had to go over it a couple more times and just kind of push the paint into it, and then go back over that with a paintbrush to match the grain of the wood. I don't really like when you can see the brush strokes contradicting the grain of the wood. And a little paint leaked through there, so I tried to clean it up with a screw. See, I have errors with just these straight lines. I don't know how people do all kinds of fancy designs on the doors with paint and tape. Maybe with a little more research I might try something like that next time. And then I have this gallon of dark bluish green paint that I love. This is the 5th project I've used this paint on, and I have a whole bunch left in the garage. It's this thick exterior paint, which I like, and it was only like $10, which I also like about it. just right now, I went to the living room and pointed at something that has this paint on it, and I said to my wife I've used that 5 different times, and she says that she loves it. So not only is this paint extra adhesive, but it helps us stick together as well. We're just both equally silly people. So yeah, I wish that when I peel off this tape I'd reveal that there was no mistakes. But this veneer is really old and really porous, and so some of the paint is really runny as well. So you kind of get little blemishes like this. So now I kind of wish that I had done this in a different order. Maybe it would have been a little less work if I had done each stripe starting from the top going down. I don't know if that would have made a big difference, but maybe I'll try that next time I do stripes. And even though it was annoying to do a whole added step to make these corrections, it actually worked the first try. Like, I was worried that every time I tried to do a correction it would cause another error somewhere else. And that actually did happen on a previous project, but this one was okay. So here I cut up some cereal boxes to tape to the sides of this item. I want to spray paint some fine gold lines on the sides here, but I've just seen times where like spray paint kind of gets everywhere, so I just wanted to cover the whole thing. And I think if I just make some quick light passes, it prevents any kind of running through the tape. And I don't know how they make this paint, but it is like really gold. It's not like yellow, it comes out looking gold. So peeling up this tape here, you can see that these lines came out pretty good. And then I reused the same cardboard to just do it on the other side. And I don't know if you could tell, but on this one I kind of missed the stripe I'm supposed to hit. I don't know what I was doing there, but it's okay. The cardboard's there, and I just barely waste the tiniest bit of spray paint. And I actually still have this can. I just used a little bit of it this morning on a picture frame. And for some reason I wanted these lines to all be a little uneven and diagonal. The top line is straight across, but then the angles change as they go down. Maybe next time I'll try something where the lines are evenly uneven. But yeah, I really like the way these colors go with that dark wood stain. It's a rich American walnut stain on what could be elm veneer. And these are the awesome drawer pulls my friend Sunil made, but he didn't want any credit, so if you see him on the street, don't acknowledge him. So they're a little slick, so I'm just going to rough them up with some sandpaper. I wish I had done this process differently. I have no experience with plastic drawer pulls. I should have used primer and then 2 coats of paint and then polyurethane. Next time I'll definitely be doing all of that, or printing it in the color that I want. But here I risked it with just some light sanding and a couple quick coats of spray paint. So yeah, I think they come out really cool, but I think they could have been a little better. Those 4 little ones are going to go on the drawers, and the 2 big ones go on the cabinet doors. And while that paint's drying, I'm going to drill some new holes that are closer together but lined up with the old holes on the drawers. So this just about concludes the video that I have of this project. You're not going to see me put on any finishing touches or anything. So I'm pretty lucky though that the client was able to send me some video. So shout out to Maria, thanks so much for working with me on this. But yeah, I don't know what happened to the missing video. I think it just got misplaced into some folders and then that got deleted eventually. Yeah, stuff gets moved around quite a bit here. But I guess that's the thing, sometimes you make mistakes and then you have to go to other people to help you correct it. And that's not so bad. I just love that she has that monstera plant on this mini armoire. That is one of my favorite plants. I have a couple giant ones in my front patio. They have these really nice broad round leaves with these fenestrations, which is perfect for like a little fence in the front or for drawer handles. Okay, I just looked it up and actually people do sell metal ones of these on Etsy. So that's actually really cool. So yeah, this was my collaboration project. A little clumsy at times, but I think it came together okay. So thank you to everyone who helped me finish this project, but also thank you guys for watching this video. And please feel free to make your own cool projects. I can't carry all the cool on my own, guys. Alright, thanks for watching.